I am Boba Fett.
Clone Army Radio presents to you the Book of Boba Fett Aftershow.
What is up, Clone Army? Welcome back to the best accidental Star Wars podcast this side of the galaxy. We're just simple clones trying to make our way, like our father before us. And welcome to another The Book of Boba Fett After Show. I am John, aka ArcTrooper 5s, and the counterpart is...
Human Cyborg Relations, Lito, aka Commander Cuatros. At your service. If you need a planet destroyed, just give me a call. That's what I do.
Do you own a Death Star?
I own 3.
Do you own a Star Killer base?
Ooh, I'm working my way up. I'm still paying off the 3rd Death Star.
Okay, but if you combine the 3 Death Stars, would that be better than Star Killer base?
It's my fleet of Death Stars. I like to refer to them as.
Okay.
I'm paying the third one at $30 a month still. Still got a little ways to go on that one.
Wow, that's a good deal. $30 a month.
Oh yeah.
Do they all have Palpatines?
Yeah, but the 3rd one, the clone machine gave me a mini Palpatine. So I call him mini Palps.
Is he like this big?
Yeah. You gotta watch out. You'll step on him.
Don't step in number 2.
Don't step on mini Palps number 2.
Little Rodney Dangerfield. What was that? Back to School.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Look out for number 1 and don't step in number 2.
Rodney, he was the icon.
So mini Palps, and you call him that?
Well, not to his face. No.
Oh,
he's got a complex about it. You can't. No. No, it's all behind his back. Come on now.
So if he zaps you with Force Lightning, is it like a tickle?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like, no, it doesn't hurt. It's like when you zap somebody on accident and you've been walking the carpet.
Oh, right.
You give them that little how's your father? It's like that.
Okay.
So it's all good. All mini Palps, you're just a little upset. Calm down.
So after you, and then we'll move on since we spent so much time last week doing this.
Yeah.
After you pay off the 3rd one, is that when you buy Star Killer base, or are you going to buy a 4th Death Star?
Well, I love 4s, so yeah, I'll probably go to a 4th Death Star, but I'm probably going to paint it black. That way it'll match like the space a little bit, and you won't see it coming. So it's right. So the 3, you'll be like, oh, I know what those are. Those are, space stations. But the 4th one will be like, what is that? Until it's too late. You'll see the lights. You'll be like blinking lights. Like, what is that? And you won't get to see like how big it is. It'll like be masked. It's gonna be cool.
Maybe you'll get a giant Palpatine with that one.
Oh, like an oversized Palps?
Yeah.
Ooh, I know that would be.
It's the Stay Puft Palpatine.
What did you do, Ray?
It just popped in.
It just popped in. Whatever. I'm at the mercy of the cloning machine. Whatever it pops out. I put the quarter in. I put in the little DNA. Bada bada boom, bada bing. I get the Palps.
Awesome.
And all his evilness.
Do you by chance remember the name of this episode?
Something about a storm a brewing.
Yeah, no.
There's a storm a brewing, I think it's called. The Gathering Storm. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
The director was Bryce Dallas Howard.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Are you sure?
It says that right here on IMDb.
Dude, because I looked, I could have swore it was somebody else's name.
It says director Bryce Dallas Howard.
Okay, but it's not, because I just fast forwarded to the end and it's Kevin Tancharoen. Yeah, they must have messed that up on IMDb.
They got it at several places. All right. Well,
The Gathering Storm. So you were really close.
I said the Gathering Storm, didn't I?
You said the storm a brewing. The brewing of the storm. Something like that.
Storm a be a brewing. Yep.
You did say something gathering, so maybe you did. I think I was already not paying attention.
I know.
All right, let's do this then. So, directed by Kevin Tancharoen, I'm going with. And,
that's what it says on the episode, right?
Yeah. Yep,
Cool.
right at the end. And this is Gathering Storm. And I guess so. This is how we're doing it. We talked about we're going to do letter grades, initial thoughts, anything that pops out, final thoughts, and boom, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go first. And I personally think that this episode was the best one yet. I'm going to give it a solid A. I think this one gets the story really going. The entire episode, we see the end. I'm assuming the end of the flashbacks, which was a great way to end it. It got us up to speed to where they are, and it told us how Boba and Fennec met. And there's just a lot of, in my opinion, really cool action in this one. I don't know. I was really not, I went in with no expectations just because, last week's episode was just okay. We talked about, for me at least. So I was just really trying to go into this one like, whatever happens, happens. And typically when you go into it with that attitude, you come out feeling all right. And I really liked this episode. There was a lot of fun and good stuff happening in it. So I guess I just did my initial thoughts and my letter grade. So I guess we'll let you do yours, and then we'll kind of go back and talk about a few things.
Well, I have to give it like a B plus, because I was kind of like, I don't want to say bored, but I kind of didn't really need to see Fennec Shand and him meet. I kind of already saw that in the Mandalorian, so I thought that was a little bit of filler at the beginning. And once we get past all the Bacta stuff, then we're good. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I just think that's a little bit. I mean, I think it's all in. He should be able to put that together. That he found her. I was in the impression that they worked together before, but I guess not, which is cool.
Yeah,
so that got cleared up.
Thought. Yeah,
that got cleared up. Even though we got to see the Sarlaac pit, again, from a different angle and everything, which is really cool. And then you just know all that stuff's kind of happened. There was nothing new there, which, but it was cool to see. And then him like getting the ship back and all that good stuff. But so I just thought, to wrap up my initial thoughts, I thought the flashback was cool to see, but like it wasn't necessary. You could piece that together by just watching all the other episodes and all the other events. But after that, I was really like, entertained, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of like bumming because nothing's really going to happen in this episode. They're just gathering. They're just kind of like, they're mustering, I guess you could say, like, you know what I mean? They're just kind of getting ready. He's getting ready. Because there's not enough time, because they wasted all the time kind of like filling us in on stuff that we already know. So, unfortunately, I don't think this was the best episode for me this season.
Okay.
Yeah. But I liked the episode a lot.
It just wasn't like a top one for you.
No, not really. I mean, there's but some cool stuff happened. I'll get into all that, but
okay,
it wasn't my like extreme top one yet. I think there's more. I think there's better stuff coming.
Oh yeah, I think there is too. Yeah. I think this week was better stuff coming from the previous. I still think the first two episodes were awesome. The first two were here. The third one was kind of just a little under it, at least for me. And then this one brought it back up, maybe like a little above, for me at least. But a couple of things that we didn't know about in that Fennec and Boba part?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not, super important to know that he took her to a mod shop to keep her breathing.
But we did see the modded people last week, so we kind of know, if we kind of remember when we saw her, she exposed her stomach, and so we're like, oh, okay, so he took her to those people and they fixed her up.
Yeah, so it kind of ties that up a little bit, I guess. Something else that it does is it shows the connection between these two. And I wrote it down. I just found it and I lost it. Okay. After he gets his ship back, and we'll talk about a couple of things he does with the ship. That's not really where I'm headed with this. He basically makes her an offer. He wants her to work with him. And she's just kind of like, no, I'm an independent contractor, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he's
like, freelance. Right.
Yeah. He's like, I can, offer you something that, something along the lines like they can't. And he says loyalty. And she just kind of looks at him. He basically gives her that offer of, I'm going to be loyal to you. I will give you my life for yours, and I'll give you your share of the money. And I think that connects these two.
It kind of makes her part of the organization, not just working for the organization, but part of running
partnership.
It. Yeah, almost partnership. Yeah,
which I think is important because, at least up until here, I just looked at her as like right hand man, the fist of Boba, if you will. And now you see that there's a little bit more to that they're a team, and yeah, he's the head guy, but she's got just as much, I think, pull as he does. If not at least very close. So we saw them work really well together in The Mandalorian and in this series so far, but we see them almost have like instant chemistry from help me get my ship back, and she's got all these cool gadgets and stuff too, like Batman type of gadgets, and they worked really well together infiltrating, even though Boba kind of made a big ruckus doing it.
Can you explain this ruckus?
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club, man.
Yeah. You described this ruckus.
So, did we need? I mean, I guess you could really say that about anything. Do we really need to see these certain things? But I think that at least for me, it tied them together a little bit more to where I'm thinking maybe she isn't going to betray him. Whereas up until this week, I was thinking maybe that was a possibility.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because there's no life debt type thing. It's a mutual partnership and symbiotic relationship, and and he's going to watch her back, and his word is the bond that's kind of keeping them together, and she's intrigued, and I think she's like, okay, I'm along for the ride, I'm going to see where this goes. This is different.
Right.
I'm not being used here. He recognizes the skills, and I'm a partner in all this, and I like that. Yeah.
And he even says to her, I need brains and muscle, and you have both. So right. he's showing her that he sees her value, and that's probably important to her, because when she realizes he's not full of crap when he says he's Boba Fett's got that rep. So she's like, oh, okay, if Boba Fett's telling me that he can see these skills, then he's not going to try and use or abuse, I guess.
Right. Yeah, you can tell he's definitely a different operator than all the people at the table. Boba's like, I'm not looking out for just me, He'll be opening up to his sphere to look out for her too. And I think that's cool. I think she's down with that, which is pretty cool. Because you're gonna get like Fennec Shan. You're gonna get the best of Fennec Shan. You're not just gonna get the everyday assassin or whatever. You're gonna get fully invested Fennec Shan that way.
Absolutely. I think. Oh, the other thing too, I wanted to mention. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in the first episode when he gets out of the Bacta tank. Or tub or bed or whatever he calls it. It seems like they call it something different every time, but he gets out and he says to her as she's walking in, I'm having the dreams again, or something to that effect. And she just kind of blows it off. And then this time he gets out and the droid says, you're fully healed or your scars are fully healed. And she comes in and says, what about the scars inside?
Yeah.
So she actually is showing that she isn't super cold. I'm not saying there's a love interest, but she cares if he's suffering inside as well.
Cares about his feelings still. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. A good catch. I was a little confused. Does he have to go in the back to tank because he went back into the Sarlaac pit without the armor? Because he went in kind of like with just robes on. And
oh, you mean because he came out with the armor on and worked with the Tuskens and all of that. Right. And then he went back in. Because we see her kind of pulling him out of there with all the acid.
Yeah.
That's a really good catch. I didn't put that together at all. That makes sense because he had no protection that time. So
no, right.
That was just eating him up.
Yeah, he was in there scavenging inside of the Sarlaac pit, and but the digestive juices were still active.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "We got to get you some, help."
Why did he think his armor was in there when he crawled out with it on? Do you think he was just so far gone mentally at that point he didn't remember having it on?
Well, I think he's retracing his steps.
Okay.
He's like, just like when you lose anything at your house, like the first place you should look is the last place you think you had it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's just checking it off his list.
Okay.
And he just did a real thorough check. He's like, okay, so I didn't leave it here. He was out. He was like passed out, so he doesn't even remember if he had it on or not. So it's not here, which is good. So I can check this off the list, and then I think I could see one more flashback where he's like, well, where could it have been, right? Like, well, who was in the area? Like, oh, wait, what about them Jawas or something, So and then maybe he figures that out, and then the Jawas are like, oh, we sold it to Cobb Vanth. Then maybe he goes to Cobb Vanth, and then Cobb Vanth is like, oh, yeah, well, I gave it to this guy called Din DeJaren.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where he's at.
Oh. Would that be more filler, though, for you, if they showed all of that?
Yeah, I mean, if I can just talk about it and retrace the steps, I don't think they really need to show it.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to show it because it's kind of a big deal.
To kind of like tie up how he discovered it.
But they've already showed it. They've already showed him getting his armor back.
That's true, yeah.
But we just don't know the two steps, and that's all it was, is the Jawas talking, and then the Cobb Vanth connection, then figuring out where Din and Grogu were to show up.
Mm-hmm. That
was it. That's really our only last missing piece, which I don't really think it needs to be, unless you want to bring Cobb Vanth back, for a cameo, which would be awesome. Timothy Oliphant, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Yeah. It's always cool to see him, for sure.
Yeah, I liked him. I think my initial opinion of him was I thought he was kind of like, yeah, I'm in Star Wars, I'm cool. Like he had that grin on his face, but then like multiple watches since that first viewing of the episode he was in, I'm like, oh, okay, no, he's cool. I like him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was totally, and he wasn't being the character from the other show he was on. What was it called? The Western.
Yeah. I want to say you said he was in Deadwood. I remember Deadwood, right? Justified. So
yeah, Deadwood. He wasn't being the guy from Deadwood, but he was kind of the sheriff in Deadwood too.
So you mentioned it before we recorded, and also for anyone that cares, before we recorded, I answered the Skype call wearing my brand new Black Series Boba Fett helmet. That was a belated Christmas gift from my fiance's son.
Which looks very cool, by the way.
Yeah, I'll throw a picture up online. I already put one on Instagram, so I'll throw one on the Twitter when I'm feeling brave enough to get back on there. Very cool. But you had mentioned Firespray, and I'm sure me, like a lot of others, have struggled with this whole name change of Slave One. It's nothing that affects my psyche or anything like that. It's just when you know something from, basically for us, our age, we've known that name since we were born.
Yeah, and it had no connotations of anything negative in our world. Like
Right.
it was all like if you got in Boba's list, he was going to catch you.
Mm-hmm.
You know when the Boba gets you, you become prisoner basically, and that's all it kind of represented. You
Yeah.
become captured.
Right. So whatever. I guess we moved past it, but I did hear somebody say something yesterday that it's a different podcast, and they made it make perfect sense because a lot of people that are upset about the name change have been made fun of for being upset about it and picked on, which is wrong, obviously. But she said that it's basically what we just said. We've known this name forever, the Slave One. She's like, what if, imagine that being your favorite something in Star Wars, like the Millennium Falcon. What if they changed that name? Or if your favorite character, what if they changed Luke Skywalker's name? You know what I mean? It's that same impact. So again, a certain section of fans can be jerks about things, and I don't think anyone should make fun of someone for being upset about it. But what I wanted to say is when I heard Tamura Morrison say Firespray Gunship, and I'm like, he just made it sound so cool. Like, I did not like the name Firespray until I heard him say it in this episode. And I'm like, if he says it all the time, I'm okay with it.
Right. Because who says Slave One in the originals?
Nobody. As far as I know, it has never been spoken. So again, that's another argument people have is we never heard it called that. But when the toy released, it was called Slave One, and we've just known it that way ever since. So
the merchandising's named it.
Merchandising?
Merchandising? What's that? Merchandising.
Yeah, merchandising. We put the picture's name on everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And I guess the background of the ship, and we may have talked about this, I may have talked about this once before, is that those ships were used, I think, to guard a prison planet, basically. And that's kind of where the name derived from or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the class ship is Firespray.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
I like Firespray. I think it fits.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well, like when he said it, like I refer to it as Firespray now. Like it's you know what I have to do and what the change has been made. Higher powers that be.
Right.
And it's been named in like a canon form now. And like a good little clone, I'll follow suit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is what you said too. It is what it is. I will probably still refer to it as Slave One just because it just rolls off the tongue and it's so natural at this point to call it that. But I'm not going to argue with somebody. And if somebody yells at me for calling it Slave One, I'll be like, look, I'm 40. Leave me alone.
Let me have my things.
But I have no issue with Firespray, and regardless, I was telling Jennifer's oldest son, we were texting back and forth earlier because I watched it this morning, he just watched it a few hours ago, so we were texting about it, and we both agree, regardless of the name, it is still one of the coolest freaking ships in all sci-fi stuff, dude.
Absolutely. That's, like I said, I mean, we didn't need to see it, but we saw some cool stuff. Right. And one of it, we got a lot of screen time with Slave One, like a lot of time inside the cockpit, a lot of time, like using its weapons, a lot of time, showing its capabilities in Tamura Morrison and Boba Fett's, ability to control it. Like those are some pretty good moves to like hover it like that,
Oh, like above the Sarlaac?
Yeah.
Right. I was like, is he trying to get that thing in there?
I know. He's all like looking at it like a dentist would be like looking at it.
Yeah, dude. Right.
Turn on the light, I
was totally getting dentist vibes there. That was funny you said that. Before that part, I absolutely love his unfinished business being finished when the Firespray comes flying in from behind the biker gang, and he's just the look on his face. He's like, it was almost like young Boba in Attack of the Clones laughing when Jango was shooting at Obi-Wan. He just had that look on his face, and he just mows them all down. And I'm like, yeah.
You know what was weird about that part, though? The biker gang, like, they were getting killed and shot and blown up, and they were just like moving forward, looking forward. Like they didn't really look around too much.
Didn't look around to see what was mowing them down.
Yeah, they weren't like reacting. I mean, I understand he started in the back, which is what you want to do in a kind of like column situation. You want to start in the back because the people up front has no idea what's going on, which, tactically that's like the right move, right? You don't want to start at the front because then everybody scatters. You start at the back and you work your way forward, but you would think you would hear something or you see some of the stuff, and they kind of looked around, but they kind of were like, oh, I guess this is our fate.
Yeah, I guess we're effed.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Because a couple of them had someone sitting on the back of the bike that maybe could have turned around and took some pot shots, but you see that big ship coming at you.
Right.
What are you going to do, I guess? Yeah, no, that makes sense, though. I know if I was getting shot at and I had a way to defend myself, I would at least attempt it, or at least like zig and zag and
right. Need something, at least trying to get out of the way of the fire. But they probably were like, yeah, we probably deserve this.
Do you think maybe that's more of a like we're seeing it happen slowly for the effect, but realistically, if that were happening, it would have been so fast that they wouldn't have been able to react?
Oh, I got you. Like they slowed it down. Yeah,
just to make, the effects and the dramatization of it all different. Because, they shoot back to Boba's face a couple times like he's getting his revenge for the Tusken tribe. And
right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's probably what's going on there. But I do want to take the time here because we're talking about seeing things blow up and die. I want to take the time and kind of retract what I said last week as far as Disney not showing people dying. So I want to go ahead and say I was wrong. Disney does show people dying and getting dismembered and losing their heads. And, I was very tired that night and not doing a lot of thinking. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Works for me, know, and our disclaimer from a year-ish ago at this point, we're not experts.
No, we get stuff wrong. I get stuff wrong. Don't mean to generalize. I get stuff wrong, and don't take you guys watch it. Wrong. You guys watch it, and you make your own observations
and conclusions and all that jive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you said that you didn't need to see that stuff, but how did you feel about him? Well, I guess it was more Fennec Shand than Boba. He was just kind of keeping the ship balanced, but she released nice. She released the seismic charge and took out that Sarlaac finally.
For real. And we got to see where the Sarlacc's face was, the little mouth.
Oh right, yeah.
That was cool to see. I'm like, oh, it's retracted in there. That's pretty cool. And that thing, the jump scare got me, totally got me.
Which wait, what?
Where the mouth, where you see the mouth.
Oh, okay. It made you jump.
It totally made me jump. It was the jump scare. Because I was like, I thought the Sarlaac was dead. You know what I mean? Because he cooked himself out of there, right?
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking that too. I thought it was dead.
And I'm still a little confused of how long he was in there, in the Sarlaac pit.
He mentions years in there. I wish I could find it when him and Fennec are talking. He made it sound like it was. He said years, not a year. So.
I thought it was days or minutes or something, but if you look at the back of the ship, he might have been in there a while. I mean, the barge, the wreckage.
Oh, okay.
There was no smoke. I mean, it looks like
was picked over,
and sand has kind of like built up on it. That's buried a bunch of it. I mean, it looks like it's like he was there a while, and then he comes out. And the Tuskens take him in, and that could have been a whole long year too, even.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking about the Tuskens. Is that had to have been so? Say he was in the Sarlaac for like a year, and then the rest of that time with the Tuskens could have been a couple of years, or 2 years in the Sarlaac,
right?
2 or 3 with the Tuskens.
The part that just throws me is the air, like having to get the air from the stormtrooper. That's the only part that really gets me, like thinking that he got out quick. But you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what his suit was capable of doing. Like his suit could have kept him, had life support. I don't know.
Or
capabilities.
What does that's the thing is, what does the Sarlaac do because 3PO says digested for 1,000 years, so that thing somehow keeps them alive, I'm assuming.
Yeah, maybe it just knocks them out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe the initial thing is it just kind of, there's a lot of like animals that do that, right? Kind of paralyze you.
Oh, yeah.
And then eat you. Yeah. And slowly digest you because they can't, I don't know, they can't process you right away or something.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what it kind of did, kind of like put him in some sort of state of suspended animation.
That's a good point. I see.
And then he didn't have to breathe as much, you know, but until he popped out of it, then he's like,
his breathing started to be more regular and
yeah.
And
there's a big hole, you know what I mean? I'm sure there was some air because, I mean, the Sarlaac pit is still a hole, right, to the outside world.
Yeah, I don't think it like closes because that's just sand. Oh, that's a good point, man. I wouldn't have thought of that stuff until we started talking about it.
Well, these are the things that keep me up at night.
The other part that throws me, and you mentioned it, but you were talking more about the air, is where did the stormtrooper come from?
Right. Where did that dude come from? But maybe he could have popped in there afterwards when he was looking around to see what the heck happened to Jabba. Like maybe they saw the smoke, came to check it out, and then just slid in there because it's still like at an angle.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure. I got a question for you.
Yep.
I guess more of just something to pick your brain about. You know how we both agreed last week? We said, you know, Boba seems kind of soft, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So Fennec calls him out in this episode saying being with the Tuskens has made you soft. If this doesn't restore faith in the writers to some people, not us, I don't think we lost any faith in anybody. We're just watching and, you know, observing the story still. But there's a lot of apparently people that take it a little higher up level wise. If we were thinking it last week in that episode and then she calls him out in this episode saying it, they're telling us a story. You know, they're not
like Boba's playing possum,
maybe playing possum, but he kind of stiffens up a little bit and he's like, they made me strong. And I think he knows what the heck he's doing and we just need to wait and see for ourselves what he's doing.
Well, he tells you what he's doing.
Well, right. But I mean, he didn't tell us last week so much. You know what I mean?
No. We just had to have faith that he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And some people, you know, just only believe what's in front of them. So,
right.
Unfortunately.
And we got to see him kick a little more butt this week. You know, mostly Fennec beating, you know, she throws one punch at a Gamorrean and knocks him over. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I don't have a problem with that at all. But we see him kicking some butt and see him mowing down those bikers. So, and he does say something too about his armor. What is? I think I might have. Let me check my phone.
He says
wrote that down.
It's made of Beskar.
Well, yeah, no, but he says.
Well, going back to what you were talking about, him being soft. What he's doing is what he learned from the Tuskens was that you're stronger in numbers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Than being an individual and all these. So what he learned. The main lesson is when you're part of a team, part of a tribe, you're more effective. You can accomplish your goals better, and that's I think the lesson that he learned. And in fact, and then you're stronger because you have people watching your back and stuff.
Right.
Instead of being alone, a lone wolf. And so I think he's just trying to find people he can trust now to kind of like watch, be part of his organization.
He's making his own tribe, basically.
Correct. Yeah. Making his own tribe.
So he says, this is where I went with
that. That's why he went with the Gamorreans. You know what I mean? Because he needs those people. Their basic personality is to be loyal, right? So he grabbed the Gamorreans. He's like, okay, these guys will fit in perfectly with me. You know what I mean? He knows Fennec is good to go. The biker gang have nothing going for them, right? So, and then he pays their debt, and he doesn't really. And then, I mean, he just keeps giving people deals that they can't refuse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Deals that are better for them than for him.
Yeah, right. Because he's just looking for people that he can count on.
Right.
So he doesn't care about making it a good deal for him.
No, he's got a long-term agenda, not short-term game. It's a long-term game. The long-term game is like having people that'll go watch his back and not double cross him.
So about his armor, he says, "Without my armor, I'm less persuasive." When she asked him about going in to talk to Bib about getting his ship back, and he's like, "I might not like his answer." And then he says, "Without my armor, I'm less persuasive." So that was what I was thinking about his armor.
Oh, okay. Cool.
When he it's almost like when he puts that on, he's got like that extra bump of confidence, and people know to fear that armor, not just because it's Boba Fett, but the history of the Mandalorian armor. But you mentioned the Tuskens and the tribe and stuff. Did you notice that he totally blames himself for that tribe being massacred?
Yeah.
He's like, he's hurt by that, which gives him more character.
Yeah, I think he's taken that one pretty hard because he left. I think because he left, because he felt like he had to be the one, making the deals or whatever with the Pikes and be face to face with them, which I think he kind of still is doing that. But maybe instead of him going to people, he's having them come to him. So maybe he's learning that a little, making an adjustment there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave his people unprotected by him.
Right.
Something I wanted to touch on that I'm sure you want to as well, I would think. Boba shows up at that cantina, or I guess he's on his way, and we cut to Chrysanthemum chilling out, having a drink, staring at Trandoshans.
Oh my goodness. And I'm thinking, how many of his family members have gotten hunted by the Trandoshans,
Uh-huh.
And that's probably what he's thinking too. And now the money that they're like gambling with is like money that they won, getting Wookiees and killing Wookiees and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's all going through his head. And Jennifer was like, "Why is he just staring at those guys?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, the history is Trandoshans hunt Wookiees." And she's like, "Oh, bleep."
Yeah.
So, and sure enough, man, and I had to laugh because he drinks his beer kind of like I do. Sometimes it goes down the beard a little bit, And
he's got a bit of a drinking problem. Sure.
Yeah. Airplane.
Yeah.
He just goes to town beating up those poor. I almost felt bad for him because they didn't look like the hunter type, right?
No, they looked like the teenagers almost.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like the one that he picks up.
Yeah.
Looks very. Yeah, I got that vibe too, that it just looked like a younger one. More than likely, they weren't out hunting Wookiees at any time, but that's just what goes through his head, I'm sure, because long has that been a thing, the Trandoshans hunting Wookiees. And then, what's her name? Garza? Is it Garza Whip?
Jennifer Beals?
Yeah, she comes out and tries to like talk him down.
And that's a technique. That's a screenwriting technique that I was going to... I'll let you know.
Okay.
One thing, what's his name? The Wookiee.
I think it's Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. Okay. Chrysanthemum doesn't speak English, right? So he can't talk for himself. Like you better be careful. I've got the death sentence on 12 systems, right? Now,
right.
But when you do that, when you talk about yourself, you kind of like make yourself weak, right? Look weak. So what you do in screenwriting is you have another character tell you about that character. And so it's almost like they're reading off their resume in a reputation type form. And that's what Jennifer Beals does in that scene is what she does is she lets you know who that guy is through his reputation, through her words. And it makes him seem bigger than if he was to tell the story of himself. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So we lost. He lost the step. Like he lost the fight, right? And we're like, oh, that dude's a chump, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she brings him right back up to redemption by talking about him in that technique to make him seem bigger and more. You know what I mean? Because you don't want him saying I'm the man, right?
Right.
Because it makes him seem smaller.
I'm a chicken hawk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't respect that, but you do respect when someone talks about somebody else.
Mhm.
You do listen, you do pay attention, and you do absorb the information, and you do look at that person a different way. So I just letting you know that's what they were doing there.
I didn't pick up on that at all. I was just falling for what you're saying. Like what Jon Favreau wrote it to be. I was sucked in. I was drawn in. I was listening to his background, and that's a good tip for me to know for writing.
That's a technique. You want to do that when you introduce your characters. You want to find a creative way to like not have your character give his own backstory.
Dude, and there's like so many different movies where that happens that are flying through my head right now.
Oh,
you just opened my eyes to something that I always saw but never knew.
once you see it and you notice it, you can't unnotice it now. So
awesome.
Free tip. Pro tip. Anyways, the one movie I think of is Silence. What's the
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. What's her name? The main character.
Oh, Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster is like, going into training or FBI training, and her kind of like recruiting agent guy is just like reading off her resume, really. You know what I mean? And that's it. And you're like, oh wow, like she's not talking about herself. Like I was second in class. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I did this, I did that. I was the first in this, I was the first in that. Like, all that makes you all sound weak. But when you're watching a movie and the other guy's talking about her and he's like impressed with the stats, that makes you impressed with her stat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it builds authority with the character.
I totally went to Roadhouse when the bar backs are talking about Wade Garrett.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott has looked old ever since he's been in movies, but they're like talking about this old guy and all the stuff he does, and then it's like, oh, Wade Garrett just showed up at the Double Deuce. Things are gonna happen now.
Right. His name is Dalton. That's all you need.
Yeah. Boom. Right.
What else do you need?
I love that
Good
movie
pick.
so much.
Oh, I love that movie too.
So I was going to say Jennifer Beals laid that all out about Chrysanthemum so masterfully. She acted that part really well. Her eyes, like the way she talked and the way her eyes were, looking at him, it was real convincing that she was telling everybody. One, she's telling the audience what you just said, building up this character. And she's also telling him, we know you're BA. We know what you're going to do, but you don't need to. And she did a good job, but he didn't care.
Just goes ahead and rips arms.
Just one. He didn't rip both arms. He took one off.
And he didn't kill that Trandoshan, which,
Yeah.
That probably, shows a little restraint.
I couldn't help but laugh, though, when I knew he was going. I thought he was going to rip both arms, but I knew he was going to do something. And I was still, when he did it, I cracked up. I'm just And then he keeps giving Boba. Every time he looks at Boba, I feel like he is giving him the people's eyebrow from The Rock.
Oh, nice.
Just always kind of looks at him and raises that eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to see that he's reunited with his weapon again.
Oh, his gun.
His gun, yeah.
Which he still didn't use, but he used those knuckles, man. And it's funny. You were talking about that punch and those brass knuckle looking things that he used last week.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe I was just wired or something, but I kind of didn't know what you were talking about. Like, I remember him punching somebody, but I rewatched that episode, I think, the day after we recorded, and I'm like, oh, that's what Lito's talking about.
Yeah.
It totally, I think it just went right over my helmet, but I got there. It just
a little to the side. Yeah.
But I mean, that's some cool tech that he uses. He's a Wookiee. Does he really need that extra force? Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little boost.
So Jon Favreau knows what he's doing writing.
Oh,
we just need to let him tell the story and not.
To quote the Gladiator, aren't you not entertained?
Nice, right? It's a good time to quote the Gladiator when we were just talking about a gladiator guy. But let's just let the story be told and enjoy it, because again, I know you said this wasn't like your top episode, but I think it's if anything, it's telling us things that we've been wanting to know as far as where is the story going. Did you happen to pick up on, and you probably did, I'm sure most people did, it was pretty obvious, and I'm jumping to the end, but we can still talk about other stuff. The Mando theme playing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see Din?
Okay. They're spoon feeding you. So once again, they have a choice here. Din has already given Grogu away at this point, right? I'm just trying to make sure my timelines is right. Okay. So he's got nothing going on, but does he need the money?
He's a bounty hunter. He's got to eat, right?
And he's got to buy a new ship.
See, that right there could be the sell.
Yeah.
I'll give you enough money to buy a new ship, you know? Boom. I'm in.
Okay. Who do I got to beat up?
Well, you got to start with that Wookiee. Oh, no, I got to go.
Oh, no, the Wookiee's with Boba now.
No, I know. I'm just making a joke.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to fight him.
I got to thing.
Yeah, I got to think. You got to wrestle that bantha.
Oh, the bantha stuff was cool this week. Sorry. It was cool to see the tongue and the mouth and just like a dog. It's like a big old dog. It's awesome.
It even wagged its tail, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, now I got to buy another bantha. 2 isn't enough.
Yeah, you got to go in. Yeah, they got to be in line to hide the numbers. But
right.
It just kind of reminded me of Snuffleupagus. Is that his name?
Oh yeah, Sesame Street.
Yeah. I just kind of had that same vibe. Just a constant, just like a big teddy bear, type thing.
Mm-hmm. It even licks his face when he's telling it to go.
And it's always hard, those type of scenes, those old Yeller type of scenes.
Yeah. Go, get out of here. Go. Yeah. It was good though. I liked it. I liked him throwing the food, the bantha's mouth, and then it burped. Yeah. Classic Star Wars, burp or fart sounds.
And that just reminded me about another thing he was feeding, the Rancor.
Yeah, I know. We didn't get to that yet. Dude, how brilliant to set the table over the Rancor trap. Dude,
and I wonder if his chair was not in the kill zone. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I think he had that all planned, which makes me think, yes, Boba is very intelligent.
And that's a great example of showing, not telling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He didn't say a word. He just let the Rancor's presence be known, and he gave it a bone.
What's going to stop us from killing you right now?
Yeah. Down, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Dude, that was a really also good showing of power. You want to cross me? I'll feed you to him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's simple.
And then I'm like, man, those Hutts are smart. What is their play with bringing in the Rancor? Are they really? Did they offer up tribute for real? I don't think so.
No. Come on, man. You can't trust a Hutt.
I know you can't trust a Hutt, but I'm like, it's such a unique move. I'm so what is their play? What's the angle? I mean, I'm sure it's gonna pay off, but such a great move.
Yeah,
unexpected, and Boba's cool with it. I think for now, as he's the power that the Rancor kind of represents. Sure, but I'm wondering what the Hutts have in mind.
Maybe they think it'll kill him or something, I mean, who knows? It can't be something that simple. I feel like the Hutts, they've got a plan, and I guess we're really just gonna have to wait and see what it is.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's something that's been kind of sticking with me too. Is what is their play? Why would you, and I even said it last week. Why would you give your enemy a Rancor? What are you doing?
I know, and Chrysanthemum, how do you say his name? Sorry,
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum is really fired. So I was expecting him to kind of still be hanging around the Hutts, because that was a quick sever of that relationship, which is kind of weird because I thought they had history,
But I mean, he took off running as soon as it was As soon as Boba let him go, he ran in the opposite direction of the hut. So I think he was just like, I'm out of here.
But it just seems staged or but I guess not. I guess it really, at this point from this episode, everything's legit. It's kind of weird.
Unless it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, how messed up would that be? I don't think it would happen, but how messed up would it be if Chrysanthemum, the mods, and Fennec all turned against Boba?
Oh boy. That'd be the ultimate betrayal.
Which is something that has been somewhat of a theme of his character. He's been betrayed, so it wouldn't be out there, but I don't think it'll happen.
Oh boy. It'd be like a classic Shakespearean type situation, storyline. Right. At the end, tragedy for the main character. Wow, that's kind of a bummer. Because I'm like riding this wave of like positive teamwork.
Well, you kind of got my thoughts spinning to that area, but I guess to keep that afloat, your positive stuff is there are rumors, little tiny itty bitty rumors that there could be a season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. So
okay. Oh, so they need some meat on the bone still, if you will.
So and I don't even think that it would happen, my little scenario, but if it did happen, they wouldn't like kill Boba or anything. If there's that possibility of you can't do the Book of Boba Fett without Boba Fett.
But it's kind of like the same story. Like not really. He wasn't betrayed. He just fell into the Sarlaac pit. Yeah.
He got chumped.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Right. He got betrayed by the writers, maybe. In the maker, but not by the character in the story.
Yeah, but then in the Clone Wars, he got betrayed a few times. So
he did.
And then in that, what was it? Well, Asajj definitely betrayed him at the end of that episode we talked about,
right.
Bounty. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities, and there's probably really good ones compared to the ones that we're talking about that, Jon Favreau's had written for like 3 years. So
yeah,
it's fun to speculate though. And I think I'm sticking to this episode making me think that Fennec is not going to turn against Boba though.
Okay.
I think because I think that she respects him too much and respected him saying, I'll give you my loyalty and my life for yours and that kind of stuff. I think that's sitting well with her because she's probably never had that. We don't know her story all that much. So
right.
She's been a loner since, the Bad Batch. Maybe that's something that she's looking for is loyalty.
That's a good point. We've only seen her, working on her own, and she did have a handler.
Oh, the Sullustan guy, the little short guy.
Yeah. That's about it. But that's you can never really trust the person hiring you
to do bad things. Yeah.
Yeah. if you watch Barry, you know what I'm talking about. Not to spoil that show, but it's a show on HBO called Barry.
Oh, okay.
Highly recommend it.
I paused it. Fennec is definitely on the trap door of the Rancor pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Boba is. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, that is very interesting.
You would think maybe he would have been like, yeah, Fennec, don't. Well, he probably had no intention of opening it, though.
Well, Fennec is standing, isn't she? Or she's sitting at some.
She's sitting right next to him, at least where I have it, like 40 minutes, 34 seconds or so. But I did notice in the background behind Boba, trying to find a good shot of it, maybe like 41 minutes, 34 seconds.
Okay.
He's standing up at the table, and behind him is where Carbonite Han was hanging in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, is that the wall?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking one, it's probably just because that's where they are. But I'm like, is that some kind of a hint that maybe we'll see,
Han Solo?
De-aged Harrison as Han in this? There's been the rumors that they de-aged him and that he was going to appear in some Star Wars. So
could he be the one for hire?
I mean, that would throw people. You play the Mando song and then Han shows up. That would be interesting if Boba hired Han to help him.
Oh, how about this? So, like, I'm speculating at this point, right? I think we've crossed into speculation territory. We didn't see the lines; they must have faded away in time. But we are speculating, anyways. Mandalorian got Luke. What if Boba Fett gets Han, and then Obi-Wan gets Leia?
I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
if
totally
that's
does.
what they're shooting for, then yeah, I mean that would make the most sense. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, because I mean, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or I don't know. How does she know him? She obviously met him before,
or at least heard of him. So
yeah,
you've heard of me?
Yeah, Yogurt the Wise. There's another version. There's another technique. Yeah, the same screenwriting thing.
Oh right, yeah, perfect. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks it would be cool to see, what's his face from Solo do it, Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that'd be awesome.
You know, you more than me about the Luke deepfake stuff in Mando. You were not impressed with how he looked,
and like I said, I think that was on purpose.
Right? Yeah.
Because I don't think they want it to be perfect, because they don't want to be like, hey, this technique exists. I've and I kind of feel kind of scared saying that.
Right. But they did hire that guy from YouTube who made the better Luke, so I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. But I do get that feeling that we'll see Han Solo in this, and regardless of which version of Han, de-aged, Harrison, which more than likely would be that, not Alden Ehrenreich. But either way, whatever it is, I think it'll be cool. I don't really have. That's the thing with these Disney Plus series so far, is I don't really have a lot of doubt in the capabilities of Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and their crew of directors, Rodriguez, Dallas Howard, Deborah Chow, all of them.
Yeah.
I don't really have. I'm not really trying to sound like I'm kissing their butts, but they haven't really shown me anything to be like, oh, they're awful. Like some of the social media people say, these writers are terrible. No, they're not. They have those jobs. They can't be bad.
No, I know. They've transcended to those positions for a reason. Right. They have mastered their craft, or well on their way, high, head and shoulders above a lot of people to retain that, to be there. They've got the skills.
Absolutely. So I want to wrap it up, I think, in a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have anything else you want to talk about, feel free. Speak freely. I'm pretty much done, other than, you know what? I did want to mention the heist part of the Firespray.
Yeah.
It had a really almost old Star Trek feel to it. This isn't a bad thing. It felt very George Lucas influenced, the fighting and the music with the Trandoshians, or was it Trandoshians, or was it just the Niktos and Weakways, I think? Yeah,
Weakways and
the Gamorreans.
Right.
Just the way that they fought and the way they looked, it just I don't really like to compare anything to Star Trek, because I don't like Star Trek. But it had, that older classic sci-fi kind of feel to it that George would have been like, this is great.
Oh, like the TV kind of look, like TV made for television type look. Yeah,
yeah.
I get you. I get what you're saying. Right. Yeah, Star Trek was kind of better for TV than movie. In movies, it just didn't really. It didn't seem. It was like, this is too big, for Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Like, this is too detailed. But when it was on TV, it was more believable. I don't know. But then but Star Wars is the opposite a little bit to me. When it's on the films, it's right. When it's on TV, it looks like a little bit lacking, just a hair.
I think it's definitely it's improved.
Yeah, but I mean the Gamorreans, and I mean that's a prime example. They look different on TV than they do in the movies. They're all slimy in the movies. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and they're all kind of Lou Ferrigno, but not as ripped as the Hulk.
Yeah,
yeah, I gotcha.
They take more time, I think, in a film to kind of do a better job with the costumes and getting them just more believable, and with the costumes. Seems like the TV show, they're more pristine looking. Yeah, they probably have to use them more, so they try to keep them better shape.
Makes sense.
Yeah, probably not to like put too much moisture on them or something.
Right. You're right, though. Yeah, they were like really like kind of oiled up, slimy.
Yeah.
Almost maybe even a darker green than this lighter green that they are in this.
Yeah, it seems like their bodies are just kind of like spray painted green, but in the movies, it seemed like they were wearing a whole bodysuit.
Mm-hmm. I did make one other note. Did you notice the General Grievous cooking droid?
That was funny.
It even like did the arm thing like Grievous does.
What was that? Yeah, that was so funny. That was some cool stuff. And he's got all the knives, and that was funny. But what was the other thing? Was it the rat catcher? Was that what that?
Yeah, the little rat catcher.
Oh my gosh, I think it was pretty cool looking. Kind of a Disney thing to do. Just throw a little fun little.
Oh yeah, right.
Fun little creature in there. A little bit of. It's got like cool movements and everything, and it's all mischievous kind of.
It was almost like a Looney Tunes scene with Boba chasing it around and like swinging at stuff and knocking things over, and then Fennec was not amused with it. She's just kind of standing there giving him that disapproving look.
I know, and it's funny that Boba Fett has to like tell it he's Boba Fett.
Right? Do you know who I am?
Like Boba, come on, man.
I loved that part. It was so just perfect.
Right, but doesn't he lose like a little bit when he says his name?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But if Fennec said, "Do you know who that is?" That's Boba Fett. Like it carries more weight.
100%. Yeah, no, it totally took me to I'm going to just refer to that as the chicken hawk thing because that's what it reminds me of every time. But yeah, but it was good humor for sure.
It's totally good. He throws it away. That's funny.
Yeah.
She's like, "Are you done playing? Come on, we got to do this." But I thought like they weren't in any real danger. Everything seemed a little choreographed as far as the killings and the shootings and everything. I didn't really feel. I mean, I liked how they showed the map of Jabba's palace, or
that was really cool.
The place they're at.
Yeah, that was the palace.
And then you saw all the red dots, of all the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that video game, not the Call of Duty, the
Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon, yeah, the one where you can play in was it Colombia or South America somewhere?
Oh yeah, that was Wildlands. Ghost Recon. Yeah,
and you can send out the drones, and it paints all the guys for you.
Yep,
totally reminded me of that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like I said, she's got like little Batman gadgets going on. The little floaty ball that went and got all that map info for her, and
also that other video game kind of does the same thing ish. Like you sent a little robot to gather intel. Battlefront 2. When you're playing.
Oh, the campaign.
Yeah, the campaign.
Right. Okay.
So that's something you see in Star Wars. So that was very cool. I liked it. So keep up that good stuff. Bringing a little gadget. And they were like sitting around in the campfire, and they're like, "Oh, the little map guy's back. Cool."
Right.
We can continue.
Yeah. I feel like the episode had a good flow to it for the most part. It had a good kind of up and down of action to dialogue. I think that it flowed really well. And maybe that's just because last week didn't totally work for me. It only like partially worked for me, that maybe I'm just seeing better things this week to get excited about. I don't know. Could be anything. Oh, they actually show the sail barge too.
Yeah. Like all blown up.
Yeah, dude. I didn't notice that. I just have it playing in the background. I mean, the Slave One flying around, does that look like television quality?
No, not really. Not when it's shooting the skiffs or whatever those things are, the speeder bikes.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look television quality. Nothing with the ship. It's mainly like backgrounds aren't as detailed and costumes not as
Oh no, I totally got what you were saying. I was just asking your opinion on the ship because I just saw it kind of flying through, and I'm like, that definitely looks like higher quality.
Right.
So, all right. So, anything you want to wrap up with? Like, you have any final thoughts on it that you want to?
Well, the table, is symbolic that he's the head of the table. When he's got all the people and the whole deal that he gives them, he's just like, don't betray me. Look out for your own interests. The deal that he strikes with everybody that they all agree to, a better deal for them than it was for him. But like he gets something out of it. Just them to just stay out of it. Just stay neutral. Don't give them any more help. It makes a ton of sense for them to do that. But like I said, they're all like I've said before, like selfish people are always going to want more. You know what I mean? And they're not gonna be cool with being told what to do. And when there's an opportunity, it's just they're going to want more.
Yeah, and he totally says that too, something to that effect when him and Fennec are talking at the end, and he's like, I think they'll do what's best for them, their best interests, is all he really said. In other words, what you just said, that if something comes up, they're going to be like, yeah, well, screw Boba, we're doing this.
Right.
Which I think, I don't know, man, it could lead to some, they pulled from the Godfather influences here. It could turn into some crazy stuff in these later episodes.
Yeah, he might have to start whacking some of these people to make them pay attention,
Right. Which I think could very well be the way they go with it. All right, so that's going to wrap up chapter 4. And I forgot the name of it again. I'm not very good at this, apparently.
The Gathering Storm?
The Gathering Storm. See, Lito's got it. And thank you all for listening as per usual. And
if any of you guys out there, I know this is a Star Wars podcast, but it's in the sci-fi realm. I started a new podcast with one of my coworkers. His name's Roger, and it's called Sci-Fi Rewind. It's on all the major podcast outlets, anything, whatever you listen to this podcast on, you can find Sci-Fi Rewind. And we got our first episode out in a introductory episode, and we got a couple more coming out now, and we're having guests on, and people that work in the film industry down at where I work, and everyone's contributing their 2 cents, and we just talk about sci-fi stuff. We're working on with movies, but we'll delve into other stuff. And if anyone's interested in kind of checking that out, I'd appreciate you checking it out and give me some feedback. Hopefully we'll have John on the show one day, and we'll be able to merge here and there and talk about other things in sci-fi other than the Star Wars universe, which is great. It's not there's more stuff out there. So
there's so much more stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm scratching my sci-fi itch by starting up another podcast. So all right, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you very much. Thanks, John, for saying that. Yep.
Yeah. And again, that's Sci-Fi Rewind.
Check out John's got a little. He made a little song for me. A little intro song. It's pretty sweet. So just give 5 seconds worth to listen and hear another of John's special little jingles that he makes.
It was fun. That's all I gotta say. Right on. So on that, catch y'all next week. May the Schwartz be with you.
May the Schwartz be witches.
I'm a chicken hawk.
Admiral Piet.
We don't even have to put it in anymore. We just say it ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.